Hi everyone, this is Team 4's artifact review. My name is Wesley Davis, and I want to walk you through some changes we made since last sprint. Just to begin, I'm going to go over our sprint goal for our last sprint, which was sprint 6, and the goal was to enhance user interface options to provide a better user experience and provide improved backend processes for data storage and initialization. Ideally, I'm going to break this up into two parts. The first one's going to be the user interface, and the second one will be the data storage and initialization. To go over the user interface, if you've been following along with us in previous artifact review videos, we've added a status and data toggle option. Ideally, the status toggle option will just show the status boxes, and then the data will load in these values here. I believe there might be a little bit of a glitch or a little bit of a defect where we're not doing that right now. And down below, we have three other toggles as well. We have a germination, a mid-season, and harvest. This is used to track the different growth stages of a crop. So we have germination, which is also known as, or what could be known as the seed phase. Mid-season, that's basically after this germination stage into the growth cycle of the actual crop. And then harvest is when the crop is ideal for harvest. So as we click through, you'll notice that the water value over here changes. We have it at red just because the sample data that we have is just test data, and there might be a defect with the calculation and display for that, so that's something we definitely need to look at. But as we click through, what's going on the back end is that there's a constant for both germination, mid-season, and harvest for a specific crop. And this value, once it's toggled, is being called to the backend and is being used to calculate this water value. Now, if we do a refresh, and we added this refresh button here, but if we click this refresh button, ideally what's supposed to happen is that this calculated value is the germination value, and this should be set back to the germination radial. That's another defect that was just found, and something we can also fix for next time. So that's it for the user interface portion. As I mentioned earlier, we also did some back-end or data storage and initialization. I'm just going to go over here. Okay, this one it's not something I can really display. However, to facilitate a better back-end process, what we added was on startup, or when we first start up a new SolarSENSE unit, so during the setup and installation phase, we've included in the setup script the necessary scripts to build these databases. So we have different databases for constraints, for the crop vectors, for the light mean values, basically anything that we need to store locally, that way we're not pulling it from a website or server, and we use those in calculations. So for example, this historical database, what this guy will do is that it'll create a historical database based off of historical data that we found, and we'll pull it from a JSON file and load those into that database. So that way we don't have to manually do it. But that's how we provided at least some sense of database improvement or back-end storage improvement. And another thing we added was this light means value database. Now this is the JSON file for it, but we have a light mean DB script that runs in that takes those values and populates a Mongo database for that. And what these are is that these are the values we use to calculate the Blaney Criddle. The source for that is found here, but initially this was a table of daily mean values based off of the position on the latitude line, either north or south of it. So based off of the region, if it's 60 degrees north of the latitude or north on the latitude line, these values would apply. If it's south of the, I'm sorry, I said the latitude line, of the equator line, but if it's 60 degrees south of the equator line, then we use these values. If anything, that is it for this artifact review, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.